Keith Olbermann, out of a job because of lack of ratings, has crawled out from under a rock, the arrogant Keith Olbermann. And he has launched this new thing called the Resistance, trying to rip us off, obviously. You know, I love how they point out, oh, you're not the resistance now, you're the establishment that Trump's in. No, we're trying to get Trump in. We're trying to remove all you've done. You've got foreign powers, the globalists, the Federal Reserve, the Republican establishment, Democratic establishment, the entire mainstream media, all against the liberty movement, all against Brexit, all against what's happening, against your tyranny. And so you're desperately trying to keep us from putting the republic back in, where the rule of law and prosperity and private property is the establishment, where free will is the establishment. I don't want to be the establishment on red carpets and flying around in helicopters on power trips. I want to be able to live my life and raise my children as I see fit, as long as I don't hurt anybody. That's true liberalism. You're control freaks that want to dominate language, you name it, that are race pimping. So Olbermann does this whole fake teleprompter read. You can tell he's reading a teleprompter that he scripted. And he does it in a low-tech looking environment to sound like he's grassroots. And he flips out. We're going to analyze this piece here. And basically calls for war with Russia and says America's under attack. America's under attack by the consortium of globalists, the EU, the Pope, the communist Chinese president, the Saudi Arabians, who all bragged that they financed Hillary illegally. That's the foreign powers, the illegals coming in, the government opening the borders to do it. America's under foreign attack, and it's not by the Russians. Americans woke up of all race, colors, and creeds. We came together. We want change, and Trump's starting to deliver it with jobs. He's getting the top corporate people that know how to get it done. He's co-opting the establishment. He's scaring the living hell out of them, to the point they've got the CIA rising up against the American people, illegally lying to you about who was involved in the election. The American people kicked the butt of the bloodthirsty, communist, murdering Chinese. The American people kicked the butt of the bloodthirsty, oppressive, slimy house of sod royal turds. We kicked the EU's slimy, socialist, globalist butt. We kicked the Democrats' butt. We kicked the Republican establishment's butt. The sleeping giant is rising. Keith Olbermann. Now let's play this slimy establishment rat who's so upset you're struggling out of his boa constrictor grip. Here he is, warmongering and spewing McCarthyism crap.
We are at war with Russia. Or perhaps more correctly, we have lost a war with Russia without a battle. We are no longer a sovereign nation. We are no longer a democracy. We are no longer...
Back it up. This is just too gold. We're at war with the globalists who admit they're establishing a corporate world government that's tax exempt, that admits it wants to destroy the family and private property and even single family dwellings because, quote, we need to make you be under surveillance and accept the community. You're on TV on MSNBC, your own channel, Olbermann, saying the family's old, we've got to get rid of it. You're in the cult, bro. You're the threat to America. You are who we're at war with, you traitorous little rat. Woo! What a piece of filth. This is war. You bet it's war. And it's the American people against you, you globalist outlier. Let's go back to him.
We are at war with Russia.
We're at war with you.
Or perhaps more correctly, we have lost a war with Russia without a battle.
No, you're losing the war with us.
We are no longer a sovereign nation. We are no longer a democracy. We are no longer
Back it up.
People.
We're no longer a sovereign nation under globalism, under New World Order, getting rid of our borders, transferring our power to TPP. Obama 2 months ago telling the UN we're getting rid of U.S. sovereignty. We're restoring our republic. We are going to be a sovereign nation again, dirtbag. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to restore the Second Amendment, dirtbag. We're going to restore the borders, traitor, enemy, bloodsucker, parasite, arrogant, pseudo-intellectual know-it-all with your pseudo-intellectual hair and your pseudo-intellectual glasses and your pseudo-intellectual little chicken neck that thinks it's better than me and my family and others that built this damn thing. We're gonna metaphorically stomp your ass into the ground, you little communist piece of trash. Now go back to that piece of scum.
We are at war with Russia. Or perhaps more correctly, we have lost a war with Russia without a battle.
With you.
longer a democracy. We are no longer a free people. We are the victims of a bloodless coup. So far,
no, we're no longer your victims. Back it up again. Back that traitor up again. From the start, all of it's lies. Everything he's saying is about him. Every single bit of it. And he knows it. He hates you. He thinks he's better than you. He calls you flyover country, bitter clingers. He looks down his nose at you. His religion is hating America. We have the WikiLeaks on all of them. These people are scum who are intimidated by us because they know we're better than them. But we don't have a thirst for power like these vampires do, but we're gonna now stand up against you. Let's go out to break with this piece of filth.
We are at war with Russia. Or perhaps more correctly, we have lost a war with Russia without a battle. We are no longer a sovereign nation. We are no longer a democracy. We are no longer a free people. We are the victims of a bloodless coup. So far, a bloodless coup engineered by Russia with, at best, the traitorous indifference of the Republican Party and Donald John Trump, a man who, to borrow a phrase from another December long ago, will live in infamy.
Let's go back.
In 5 weeks' time, unless desperate measures are taken.
Back him up again. Desperate measures. They are involved in desperate measures. They're losing America. This is a coup against the globalists. That's why they're so desperate. This is real. I'm telling you, Obama may set off a nuke. I told you they're never going to let him get in office without a fight. They may set off a nuke, anything. False flags, folks. The next 30-plus days is the most critical in our lives. Oh, my God, this is so incredible. We'll be back. Stay with us. That's right. No more Mr. Nice Guy. The gloves are off. And Trump's got to take the gloves off and not just have his surrogates out there exposing the fact that this is all a giant fraud. They are sending the CIA to the electors. It's been announced, led by Nancy Pelosi's horrid daughter, to tell them, oh, don't vote for Trump. Don't represent your votes you pledged because he's such a horrible, evil man. Now, the problem is, Clapper on Monday admitted they don't know where WikiLeaks got their info. And other intelligence agencies, it turns out, have not concurred. And it's a secret group within the CIA that said this, so it's all lies. It isn't 17 agencies. It isn't the whole CIA. Congress can't even see it. But Obama's ordering a big investigation. Well, you know what? Trump needs to say, we need an investigation of the communist Chinese that admittedly gave upwards of $300 million to Hillary and put it in newspapers. And the Saudis said that they gave 20% of the $1.4 billion that she raised. Another billion was raised or more by super PACs. So we're talking 2.4, 2.5 billion. And they're talking about half of it was from foreign powers and foreign corporations. Oh, but, and then all the illegals voting. Oh, but, oh, the Russians with the GDP of Italy, they're behind everything. It's those Ruskies. In the cold weather, if the pipes burst on your house, it was the Ruskies. If you slip on a banana peel, it's the Ruskies. If you don't pay your mortgage, it's the Ruskies. France wants to pull out of the euro. It's the Ruskies. Italy's trying to pull out. It's the Ruskies. UK pulled out. It's the Ruskies. I don't want to turn my guns in because of the Ruskies. The American people didn't vote. They didn't win. No, the Ruskies carried Pennsylvania. The Ruskies carried Ohio. The Ruskies carried Florida. The Ruskies carried Michigan. The Ruskies, not the Americans. No, the Americans, they can't do anything. They can't get their jobs back, even though he's already acting like the president. He's the commander-in-chief already, getting cheered by the Army-Navy game as Obama's basically booed. But they don't care because Keith Olbermann, if you just tuned in, does this whole fake thing that he's angry. And then we're at war and we don't do something drastic. And then all the big newspapers have op-eds, kill Trump, kill, kill, kill. No one goes to jail. No one gets indicted. I had a guy sending me letters in like 2002 saying, I'm going to kill Bush when he comes to town. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I've got the weapons. I thought it was a setup, like they were trying to set me up or something. So I called the Secret Service. They came over, got the material. A week later, it was in the Tennessee papers. People were calling me. They got this big arsenal. He was completely crazy. He was planning to kill the president. I mean, they used to arrest you for this. Now they just get up on there and go, I'm going to organize killing the president. Hollywood director doesn't get in trouble. Doesn't even get Secret Service visits. They're organizing the demonization and the political assassination of Trump. They're assassinating his name, his family, his character, and anyone that supports him at a high level like yours truly. Well, you know what? I'm honored to support somebody that wants Americana and private property back and wants to bring our jobs back. I'm honored to support somebody that supports the Second Amendment and our veterans. I'm honored. Because Trump isn't perfect, but he's not out to get this country. Now, let's play Clapper speaking to Congress yesterday, admitting all of this while it's all contradicted. Here's the head of the CIA contradicting his own agency to cover his butt when they have this new nebulous secret report that's been given to the Washington Post again, who had to retract last week that the alt-right is actually run by the Russians. They actually say, I am run by the Russians. Their evidence is he's gone on Russian TV before, and Japanese, and British, and Brazilian, and Canadian. I've been on Canadian TV probably 50 times. I mean, I'm a Canadian. Oh, yeah. Canadians are so nice, you could wipe your butt with their flag and they'd apologize to you for it. That's political correctness. No more. So let's go ahead and go to Clapper.
Director, I want to drill down a little further into your comment that Russian...
This is Adam Schiff, the Democrat, who accused last Thursday Fox News primetime host Tucker Carlson of being a Russian agent. This is the atmosphere we've now entered. Just some context. That's the Democrat from California on the Intelligence Committee, a disgraceful, malnourished chipmunk. So let's start the clip over.
Director, I want to drill down a little further into your comment that the Russian activity curtailed after the issuance of the statement. The dumping of documents didn't end with the issuance of the statement. Are you implying by this that that we know whether the documents provided to either cutouts or WikiLeaks
look at those pillow butter eyes.
Had all been provided prior to
the statement that was issued? Pillow butter.
Or is it entirely possible that the dumping of documents continued after the statement?
But I'm telling you, somebody's catching some fastballs.
And what may have been avoided was a further escalation of the interference in the form of trying to monkey around on Election Day or thereafter.
I was referring to the cyber reconnaissance that we had observed.
Hit pause.
Many states.
We don't edit these things. This happens on mainstream news, too. I don't know what it is. We try different downloaders. When you download these HD clips, it just does little pauses and then cuts back in. That's not edited. By the way, I should add, that's Clapper, who's an admitted Wahhabi, lived in Saudi Arabia off and on for 20 years and is best friends with the king of Saud. And the word is, he converted to Islam for the money. But you wonder why we can't beat al-Qaeda or stop them, or why we aided al-Qaeda to take over the Middle East under the name of ISIS. It's called Clapper. The same guy that lied to Congress and says, the NSA does not spy on Americans ever. That's like saying, again, that the moon isn't made out of rock or that the sun isn't yellow. I mean, let's start the clip over with Clapper. Here it is.
Director, I want to drill down a little further into your comment that the Russian activity curtailed after the issuance of the statement. The dumping of documents didn't end with the issuance of the statement. Are you implying by this that that we know whether the documents provided to either cutouts or WikiLeaks had all been provided prior to the statement that was issued? Or is it entirely possible that the dumping of documents continued after the statement?
Look how that guy looks at you.
And what may have been avoided was a further escalation of the interference in the form of trying to monkey around on Election Day or thereafter.
I was referring to the cyber reconnaissance that we had observed. Many states had, state entities had observed prior to the statement, and that sort of activity seemed to have curtailed. As far as the WikiLeaks connection, the evidence there is not as strong, and we don't have good insight into the sequencing of the releases or when the data may have been provided. We don't have as good insight into that.
Okay, so let's go back to Keith Olbermann. About a minute in, I was interrupting to just point out everything he was saying was a big fat lie. Let's go back to Keith Olbermann having his little fake meltdown, reading off a teleprompter. Here he is.
We are at war with Russia. Or perhaps more correctly, we have lost a war with Russia without a battle. We are no longer a sovereign nation. We are no longer a democracy. We are no longer a free people. We are the victims of a bloodless coup. So far, a bloodless coup engineered by Russia with, at best, the traitorous indifference of the Republican Party and Donald John Trump, a man who, to borrow a phrase from another December long ago, will live in infamy. In 5 weeks' time, unless desperate measures are taken, we will hand over the government to a man who lost the popular vote by more than Woodrow Wilson or Jimmy Carter wanted.
Pause again. By the way, I was saying Clapper is Islamicist. The word is he is too, and he spent a lot of time in Saudi Arabia, but it's John Brennan. They looked at Sam the Act was saying, but he is the guy that lied about the NSA. It's just, you look at the guy, he's a total BSer. But let's go back to Olbermann here. So Olbermann's saying he lost by more than anybody ever, basically, in the popular vote. Except we know a bunch of illegals voted and a bunch of people voted for dead people. They got arrested all over the country doing it. We know that Trump gained votes when they did a recount. So there you go, Olbermann. So it's all about undermining, because they want to finish off this country. They think they own it. They think they're better than you. Their whole ideology is about they're the leftist, they're the fops, they're the pseudo-intellectuals, they're the skinny tie wearers. They're going to show you bitter clingers. Here he is.
A man whom the Russians wanted to run our country for them, a man whom the Russians got to run our country for them, a man for whom the Russians interfered with our elections.
Pause again.
Which if we did it to another...
Okay, there you go. So the American people didn't vote. Nobody wants Trump. It's all Russian mind control.
Described as an act of war. And in this country, we have conceded defeat. Some experts,
God, they're
John
warmongering.
Kasich, strategist John Weaver, for
against
one,
Russia,
have compared this to Pearl Harbor. Even the hard-right ex-Congressman Joe Walsh says Republican silence will be tantamount to treason. Some others, too.
Oh, even the Republican establishment is against Trump. Boy, what a surprise. And the CIA. You call yourself the resistance, Olbermann, in this piece? You're the establishment hanging on by its fingernails, gasping for its last breath because you don't want us to make this country great again and be independent. Continue.
Who have proved courageous. Trump, self-destructive to the last, issued a childish statement mocking the CIA, but as Tim Dickinson of Rolling Stone noted, not denying anything.
He did deny it.
But the vast majority of Republicans have said nothing, and the vast majority of Democrats have said nothing, and the vast majority of the media has said nothing of substance.
Pause.
And
the media is in a complete hissy fit saying overturn the election, it's all over, the Russians are getting us. Everything he says is a lie or is twisted. I mean, this guy is an absolute liar. Trump put out all these tweets saying it's made up, it's bull, it's a conspiracy theory, this is outrageous. But he just says Trump just laughs about it. Notice he doesn't show you a clip, though. Let's continue with this disgraced, unemployed twit.
The president has said nothing close to enough. The CIA and FBI and Homeland Security, the institutions whose interest in freedom we on the left most frequently distrust, they have said something. They said it first to congressional and Senate Republicans in...
Back that up 15 seconds. Again, I could sit here and write a whole article about this. Somebody should. One of our writers should take my breakdown and then go over all the lies because this is all on record. The FBI says they've been through all the RNC servers and that it did not happen. And they've also said no evidence Russia was involved, but that China was. Because China is. But for Hillary, with their bots. So it's all on record. Just Google FBI disagrees with CIA about Russian hack. That was in the news yesterday, the day before, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. Olbermann is lying to his pseudo-intellectual idiot viewers. That's why Obama doesn't go on news anymore because they have no viewers. He goes on Comedy Central on fake news shows to push race-baiting narratives yesterday. And they've got sportscasters like this guy reading off teleprompters. He's an actor, folks. Let's go back to it.
The president has said nothing close to enough. The CIA and FBI and Homeland Security, the institutions whose interest in freedom we on the left most frequently distrust, they have said something. They said it first to congressional and Senate Republicans in September. Dire warnings.
All 17 agencies have said for over a year this is made up bull. Clapper said they didn't have proof yesterday. But some secret group talked to President Obama, and they did. And Hillary wants a new election now. Here it is. Let's go back to him.
Warnings that Mitch McConnell and other Republicans reportedly buried. Warnings that the Russians, using computer hacking and perhaps other means, were not merely trying to discredit the election, but to achieve the specific outcome of electing their man Trump. And finally, at the very last hour, some of those who did those briefings and some of those who received those briefings leaked the details to the New York Times, the Washington Post, CBS News, Reuters, in a torrent of anguished honesty. They said something. They said something as the president not elect began to veer towards appointing as Secretary of State, as our diplomatic face to the world, the CEO of Exxon, who 4 years ago received the Order of Friendship from Vladimir Putin. They said something as the members of the electoral...
Back that up. That's given to any major corporation or company that comes in and hires a lot of Russians. And we give foreign, Japan's gotten awards for moving their Tundra truck factories to Texas. Exxon's drilling all over the world. Russia isn't communist anymore. We need to work with Russia. China needs to be dealt with and encircled. It's the big evil operator oppressing its own people. And that's the constellation Trump's going to set up. South Korea, Russia, Japan. In the East, you move to the West. Defeat the euro, bring liberty back, bring back deals and prosperity and not a wartime economy. He wants to get rid of these billion-dollar fighter planes already. Have a defense that works. Let's continue where Oberman really goes into the hissy fit.
The Order of Friendship from Vladimir Putin. They said something as the members of the Electoral College prepared to gather next Monday to finalize this coup. Some, perhaps unaware that almost half the states they represent permit them by law to vote for someone other than the candidate.
They want to block Trump being elected, folks.
And that only 38 of them need to do so to prevent this coup. They said something as one...
The coup by the American voters. They consider it a coup that they were unable to steal, even though she stole 5 states. Continue.
Especially chilling detail in one of the reports sailed by that, quote, the Russians hacked the Republican National Committee's computer systems in addition to their attacks on Democratic organizations, but did not release whatever information
the
they
FBI
gleaned
says
from
that's
the
not
Republican
true.
networks. It is a short leap from that conclusion, and it is anything but a conspiracy theory to be wondering if the Russians hacked the RNC and have kept what they found there to make sure Trump and the Republicans obeyed.
All right, hit pause again. I can tell by his eye movements and where he's looking every time and the way his eyes are moving. It's well known if you're in TV. Almost everybody uses it. He has those papers to act like that's his notes, but he's going from the heart. It's all off a teleprompter. He pauses, he breathes, he looks back up. I have these notes to really go off these because these are articles I'm showing you. Just a disgraceful pig monster. When we come back, we'll play the rest of it. But, man, when you're informed, you realize all of it's lies. Like 80% lies, 20% spin. None of it's truth. The FBI stood up. The FBI says that the RNC was hacked. The FBI's come out and said this is a complete lie. I mean, Oberman thinks you're an idiot. He's preying on you. He's a predator. I'm going to get back into Keith Olbermann, and then we're going to get into a lot of really key geopolitical news. We have Roger Stone joining us with breaking news, Paul Watson coming up, Leanne McAdoo, and more. I want everybody to know that we're running a very important special right now until Friday. We'll probably run it through the weekend too, but you're guaranteed to get delivery before Christmas if you order by Friday at like 4 o'clock. Our little elves here at the InfoWars News Center, we have our distribution center next door, are going to be working right through the weekend to make sure it all gets mailed out by Saturday or Monday, the latest. That'll get you delivery before Christmas in the continental United States or in Hawaii or Alaska for that matter. But you've got to get the orders in. Free shipping store-wide. 50% off on colloidal silver. It's a great gift to give as well. So stock up and give a gift and support the InfoWar. Living Defense, 30% off. That's a parasite cleanser. Silver Bullet colloidal silver, 50% off. Brain Force, 33% off. Now 20% more in each bottle as well. Sign up for auto ship, get additional 10% off. Winter Sun, vitamin D, key during the winter and spring and fall. That's 25% off. Survival Shield X2, whoa, 30% off that key compound. Bio, True Selenium, 30% off. Store-wide free shipping. InfoWarsStore.com. Not just at InfoWarsLife.com on the supplements. And I want to thank you all for your support. It probably will run out by tomorrow, but we're getting some in soon, but that'll be in the new year because, again, we don't want to have to hold stuff back and pay for inventory because it's so expensive, particularly compared to the other supplements we have. That's DNA Force, 20% off or 25% off right now as well. The amazing BioPQQ, CoQ10, and other cofactors. You get this from medical facilities for $300, $400. It's $102 right now. Nobody discounts a true nutraceutical like this at this price. Oh, I guess they took the 25% off. I said extend that. I guess it's about to sell out. That's why they must have done that. All right, well, try to change it back, or I guess it must have sold out. They're holding back for folks that are on auto ship. And I want to announce this. I'm going to have my dad in studio later in the week. We kept working with some of the biggest toothpaste manufacturers in the country. My dad's an oral surgeon and dentist. He was managing hundreds of clinics when he retired 3 years ago and came to work with us here developing products. He's developed things that have gotten FDA approval before on the drug side. We wanted him for compliance. He's also a chemist working with Dr. Group and others. I mainly hired him for FDA compliance, though it's not drugs, it's nutraceuticals. And it's good to have a doctor as well so you can actually get some of these compounds. Even though they're not controlled substances, they don't sell you stuff. I mean, Mitsubishi America doesn't talk to you unless you've got a doctor on staff. Now, he did everything. He said, just let me do it because I've tried for 3 years to get a toothpaste like this that just had iodine and colloidal silver in it. True high-quality iodine, not potassium iodine, but pure atomic iodine. That doesn't mean nuclear. It means in its true form. From deep earth crystals, 999999 pure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my dad even made the graphic. I'm going to redo it. It's cute. It looks like something from the 50s, but he even did this himself. He said, let me do everything. It took him about a year to do it. We failed after 2 years. So a year ago, he took it over, and suddenly it's here. Now, I've had testers of this that have been coming in for 6 months when he was testing different types of it. We got 10,000 containers of this. It is $9.95. It costs us like $4 a tube. So normally toothpaste is $4 a tube because it doesn't have all these ingredients in it. But it's $9.95. It's discounted from $12.95. It's a big old heavy tube of it, and it's called Super Blue. That's his name. Non-fluoride toothpaste. It's got peppermint and tea tree oil and iodine and nano silver. This stuff is incredible. I mean, and I can't tell you how much heart disease is caused, obviously, because of bad gums and the bacteria getting into the bloodstream and getting into the ventricles. This is the best toothpaste out there. Nobody's got this. It's game changer. InfoWarsLife.com. Be the first to get Super Blue in the original container my dad designed. It's still pretty good, better than I would do. It's just that my dad did all this. David Jones, Dr. David Jones.